Hello class, welcome students. Today we're going to continue our work on our writing for research lessons. And yesterday we we did some work choosing some sources, and now we want to think about how do we prepare ourselves? How do we prepare ourselves to begin our research? Where do I look? What kind of things am I looking for? And that's what we're really going to look at today. So today we're talking about using the table of contents and headings to guide our research. Now, the table of contents in a nonfiction book, you'll usually find the second or third page of the book. For instance, here we have a book about Rosa Parks, and if we go to the beginning of the book here we have the cover of the book, Rosa Parks, by Kitson Jazinka. It's a National Geographic book. These are great books. I really love these. And so right here on the looks like the second page, we have the table of contents. And the table of contents tells us what's inside of the book. I'm sure you know that. And we call each of these big words capitalized here. We call these headings. It's kind of like the head on your body. It's the top of your body. The heading in text is kind of the top of the text, and like your head, it's the part that does all the thinking, right? It's like this part kind of tells you what it's all about. So here we see who was Rosa Parks growing up in her time. This is a table of contents, and when we look at a table of contents, it tells us what's going to be inside of this book, and we're going to use this as a tool for our research this week. So. The table of contents is found at the beginning of the book, like I said, and now headings are these short words or phrases that usually appear at the top of the page. So we can see an example of that if I go to growing up on page 8 here. I see that the heading is at the top of the page here. And they let the reader know what that page is going to be all about. And just organizes our information. So rather than just having facts randomly mixed throughout the book, we organize our facts. So each page has its own fact. And you'll notice that it's usually in bold. So, we can look for words in bold throughout the text to sort of highlight important facts. So here, we see some words in bold. When an author puts a word in bold, they're telling you that that word is important. So we're going to go here to, just want to talk a little bit about how we can use the table of contents to guide our research. So what we're going to practice today is using headings and the table of contents to make research questions, because when you're doing your research, you want to begin with some questions that your research is going to answer. It's important for organizing your work, for creating an outline, and to kind of help you do your work a little bit more quickly and easily, and also get better work when you're done. So we're going to start with some questions. So to do that, we're actually going to restate the headings here as a question. We're going to use question words like who, where, what, when, why, and how. We're going to use those words, and we're going to restate the heading as a question. I'm going to show you how we might do that. So in this example, I'm using this section here. So I might start, like, how do I begin? Well, we're going to open our book, and the reader's they're going to open the book and they're going to start scanning through. We're not going to spend a ton of time reading every single word of every single page. We're going to start by scanning. Scanning is like a technique that a reader does where they just look quickly for keywords or things that are important. So who was Rosa Parks? That might be a little too general for my research right now. I'm thinking I want to know a little bit about this section here, growing up. So I'm going to go to that section in the book, and I'm going to look at that heading, growing up. Now I want to make a question, but I'm not sure what the question is quite yet. What is growing up all about? What does that mean? What do you think the section growing up is going to be all about? Think to yourself, or maybe share with someone next to you. What do you think that's going to mean? Maybe you're not sure. Maybe I need to read just a sentence of this to get a little bit of a flavor for what this section's about. Rosa Parks was born as Rosa Louise McCulley on February 4th, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama. Okay, now I know what this section's about. This section is about Rosa Parks' childhood, what it was like, what her childhood was like. So we're going to use, I've created a graphic organizer. It's a material that we're going to use with this work. I'm calling it Turning the Tables because we're turning a table of contents into research questions or an outline. So I'm going to open up this material here, and I'm just going to show you a little bit about, I'm going to show you an example of how we will turn these headings into questions. Let's give it a try. So here, here's our turning the tables using tables of contents and headings to form research questions. We're going to use these words, right? Who, what, where, why, when, how. So the heading was growing up. How can I turn a heading like growing up into a research question? Let's give it a try. So this is about her childhood. So can I use a who or what? Can I use one of those question words to form a question about her childhood? To begin with, I'm going to write the heading down. Growing up. Okay, now what question can I ask about growing up? I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So I'll use the word what. What was Rosa Parks' childhood like? All right, what was Rosa Parks' childhood like? So I've just created a question out of that heading. Now I have something to guide my research. I'm also just going to spend a moment here answering that question. So I might say that, let's see here, I've already read this a little bit, but I might say, well, she lived on a farm with her parents and grandparents. She was a small, quiet girl. She loved to read nursery rhymes. Sounds like she had a pretty nice childhood. So I might answer that with, she had a nice childhood. She grew up on a farm. I will let you finish that on your own. You don't need to see me write that whole sentence, but I would just write one sentence or two short sentences just describing, just answering that question. That's really not the important part of this work. The important part of this work here is restating headings and items from a table of contents to a question. So I see here that, let's see here.
With.
Oops. What's another heading? Standing up for civil rights, a seat on the bus, standing up in her time. In her time, let's take a look at that briefly. Growing up, in her time, okay, in her time. In her time, that's very vague. What does in her time mean? What is this section about? What does that heading mean? She was a girl in the 1920s. Many things were different from how they are now. Let's restate in her time as a question. So I'm going to begin by writing down the heading, in her time. And then I'll think a little bit about what kind of question. So this is about the 1920s, just so that you know what the world was like when Rosa Parks was alive, because it kind of helps set the scene for her story. So I might say, what was the world like when Rosa Parks was alive? All right, so that is an example of how we restate headings and tables of contents as questions. So for your work today, I'm going to have you just practice practice one or two of these books along with me. I'll go ahead and do a couple too. I'd like you to try it independently, but if this feels challenging, you can go ahead and do it with me. Otherwise, yeah, give it a try on your own. I'm providing a couple books here that you can practice with, and then if you want, just watch mine too and see how did the work that you made compare to the work that I made, and see if they ended up pretty similar, and maybe what's different too. Maybe you came up with even better questions than I will. All right, that is all for today. Can't wait to see your work.